Tea. Just a quick question. How are you doing in the wellness and fitness area of your life if you're over 40? Even if you're not, but specifically if you're over 40. What does it look like for you? Has it become a normal part of life, or is it something you're still trying to find time for? Well, we're going to be talking about that today and how important it is and how to really do it in such a way that it doesn't feel like such a chore. So I'm happy to introduce you to Carmel today. And so go ahead, grab your notebook, grab your tea, grab a friend, listen in. We'll see you soon. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Tips Over Tea. I am so excited to introduce you to Carmel Jean-Francois. I'm getting good with my French. Carmel, thank you so much for joining the show. I'm glad to have you here.
I am honored. So thank you. I appreciate being here.
Oh, good. This is going to be a good conversation because I've been talking about what's been normalized in our society, right? And exercise, the way we're going to talk about it, has not been normalized, right?
Correct. Correct. You want me to talk? You want me to start now?
Yes. Go.
Exercise. Even if you go through social media, right? Exercise is always like extreme sports, like the go hard and go home.
Mhm.
I don't believe in go hard or go home. I don't believe in all or nothing. I believe something is something. I believe in just do what you can and stay here. Like I, I feel like what needs to be normalized is what is considered exercise. So people hear that I exercise or I'm into fitness or I train, and they think that it equals an hour in the gym lifting some heavy weights or heavy cardio on a treadmill. And it doesn't have to mean that at all. And I always emphasize that exercises could be a walk around your block. It could be dancing. It could be playing with the kids, playing with your dog. And I always love to emphasize that, because then people's idea of exercise changes and they're like, is that it? And it's movement. It's the importance of moving your body. Our bodies, I always say, are machines. They're meant to move. And we have to take care of our bodies so that our bodies take care of us. And what does that mean? That means exercise.
Yeah, I love that. I actually was having that conversation recently because a group of friends, we were going to do like a challenge. And some of the apps I've looked at, they only count steps. I'm like, but it's not about just walking. It's like I do yoga, and that's not a lot of steps at all. Right. And there was a couple of things that came to mind as you were sharing that. There was a study in a book that I was reading that talked about the hotel staff that changes the linen and all of that stuff. When they had like two groups. One, they just let them do their work like they normally do, and then the other group, they're like, what you're doing is technically exercise, right? And like that group that they told them that, they actually lost weight, right?
And it's so is the power of suggestion.
Yeah, that too. It's just recognizing that your movement matters, like how you
movement matters.
Yeah. And to your point, like people thinking an hour in a gym, 10 minutes 3 times a day also is just as effective, right?
I've told many of my clients that. I'm like, listen, you can break it down. If you can't, just do something for 10 minutes in the morning. At lunch, go out for a 10-minute walk. And then in the evening, play with the kids for 10 minutes. It's your 10 minutes of exercise a day.
Yes.
It's something interesting that happened. My sister stumbled upon a 10-minute workout program. And this is when she was struggling to make fitness a normal part of her life. And so she says, I can do 10 minutes, right? Everybody's got 10 minutes. If you tell me that you don't have 10 minutes, something's wrong or you're lying, right? So my sister's like, I got 10 minutes. I'll just do the 10 minutes. They say that I can get all of this done in 10 minutes because they pack in all these different types of exercise to stimulate different muscle groups. My sister ended up working like a half hour, 45 minutes. She says, well, it took me longer to put on my gym clothes than it did for me to actually do that workout. She said, I'm here. I might as well just keep going.
Yeah.
That's actually that's actually one of the ways that my sister ended up getting fitness into her normal daily routine. And I love telling that story.
I loved hearing that story. It actually makes me think of the book. Have you read Atomic Habits?
I haven't, but I heard about it. So
It is a good book. Yeah, he's like, just do 2 minutes. Start off with 2 minutes. And usually what happens is you end up going longer, or if you do 2 minutes and completely stop, it inspires you to come back. You're like, I could do 2 minutes of whatever it is, right? Like it could be writing, whatever the habit is you're trying to create. Just do 2 minutes. So I love that she she had that revelation, like, yo, it took me longer to get dressed.
He's like, I'm here. I'm dressed for it.
I'm not gonna waste all that. That would be a waste of time.
Exactly.
I love that. So tell me, have you always been into fitness, or did you happen upon this kind of like your sister did? How did that start for you?
I'm gonna say yes and no.
Okay.
And the yes part of it was I was a little tomboy as a young girl. I was a tomboy and I wanted to be in sports, but my parents didn't have the financial luxury of putting us into any type of organized sports. So I just had to do with my energy what we had a big yard, so just go outside and play, right? And then when I got older, I actually joined a dojo and I took up martial arts, black belt, karate. So I did get my black belt, but I was already a young adult at that point. I had just graduated college. So now the real world awaits. So I got a job, and my job, I just fell into what everybody else kind of like falls into. My job did not allow me any time to exercise. So I actually got very used to very quickly not exercising. And now that became my normal life. And for almost 10 years, a decade, I was sedentary. I went to work and I came back. In fact, I wanted nothing to do with exercise. I remember sitting down having a conversation with my boyfriend at the time saying, I'm gaining weight and I don't want this to happen. How can I maintain my weight without exercise? And we brainstormed together. He's like, I got you, babe. Let's make this happen. But then what I noticed was that something else was happening too, because the weight was coming on. I come from a family of heavy women. And I used to always say that I come from a family of heavy women. It's not so much that I came from a family of heavy women. I came from a family of women who ate poorly. They suffered from hypertension. My mom and her sisters, they all had high blood pressure. And their conversation was, I ran out of high blood pressure medication. You got some? I got you, sis. So when I this weekend, I'm going to get you some. Well, what kind of conversation is that? Right. And there was no encouragement as to, let's get off of this, because this is not a life sentence. That was not the conversation. The conversation was, I got your medication. Let's keep this thing going. Yeah. My father ended up with type 2 diabetes. But my father, I think just listening to what the doctor said, he beat it. And quickly. He wasted no time. And that was nice to see as I'm looking back, as I got into my fitness, I'm looking back, I'm like, Dad kicked that. For us, it was normal. Dad was diagnosed with something. Now he's better. Yeah. And now as I'm growing older and hearing more and more about fitness and nutrition, I realized that Dad did something extraordinary. People take diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, things like that, and they make it their life sentence. Yeah. It becomes a part of them. They embrace it. This is what I've got. I'm diabetic. It doesn't have to be that story. So I knew what I was heading towards, and yet that still did not motivate me to exercise or do anything until I got into a really bad car accident. And Nicole, it was that car accident that made me realize, just by default, what I had to do to help myself heal. It was that car accident that made me realize the role and importance that fitness and nutrition plays in our overall health. And then I literally stumbled upon this blessing of appreciating what my body could do if I appreciated what nutrition and exercise could do for my body. And so now it was that like a cohabitation that it was that just kind of said, I love everything about this. And that's when I really became a fitness nut, constantly challenging myself and people who wanted to jump on board. Let's do it. Let's do it. And that's where all that came from. And still, the nutrition part wasn't a part of it, right? Because I knew I could exercise, lift weights, do what I needed to do, get the muscles I wanted to get, run the races that I wanted to run. But in the end, nutrition had such a big part to do with it, but I was ignoring that for a while until I started learning just more about nutrition. I'm taking nutrition courses and I'm like, wait a second, right? We're all doing it wrong. Like us as Americans and the things that we eat on a daily basis, the things that we think that are healthy. Because I used to think I was so healthy. I was like, yeah, my breakfast was a protein shake, lunch was a protein bar. I'll have maybe chicken later, and I am healthy, right? So that was what I thought was healthy. Not to say that it isn't, but there's so many more things than protein shakes and protein bars that I was not willing to pursue at the time. And now I realize and appreciate the benefits that whole foods have to offer us and what it means in our bodies and for our longevity.
Yeah. There are so many things I want to touch on through what you were just sharing. One, the industry normalizing that diabetes and heart disease and all of that stuff after you're diagnosed, they don't really give you any guidance to give you any indication that it doesn't have to stay that way for life, right? And it's not the doctor's fault. Like they don't take nutrition is not required. So it really is up to us to become our own advocate, like your dad did. And the other thing that came to mind as you were sharing is just because it's in your family doesn't mean you have to activate that gene in your own life.
Right.
Like it's activated through your dietary choices and your habits and things like that. You can totally prevent as opposed to trying to treat that stuff. So I love the two examples that you had between your mom and your dad. That is like medical, like, right? It's just,
I'm pretty fortunate that I had those two examples. And that dad was able to do what he did. And before he passed away, he got really gung-ho about the nutrition and what doctors are not telling us. And I was just like, really, Dad, is that what you want to talk about right now? I was so not interested back then, but I appreciate the fact that he stumbled upon it as well. And as opposed to people stumbling upon it later in life, I just want to share the light. I just want to share the news and the enthusiasm that I have for it, because there's something there. There's something about knowing that I feed my body with things that I believe will do my body good and for my future self. Right, Nicole, we were talking about our future selves. And it's interesting because earlier when you did mention that you actually were considering your 80-plus-year-old self, and I love that. I was thinking about the fact that is another reason why people just fall off their fitness regimen, because they cannot make that connection to their future selves. So whereas you took it upon yourself to say, I'm doing this for my 80-year-old self, other people will look at their 1 year, like a year, like my future self in 2023, and they still can't relate. Like, that person's not me. I cannot relate. There's no connection between us right now. And so they'll start a fitness regimen or start eating healthier and say, this is too hard. I want my Big Mac and fries. Right. So so that's something else that that triggered me as you were saying what you were just saying.
And actually, as you were saying what you just said just now, it makes me think of something I wrote down the other day, where it's when you feel like eating something that you know doesn't serve you, and you stop and ask yourself, why do you actually want that? Or actually, it's not even that. Am I even hungry for this right now? And then because like for me, so what was happening? And so I don't keep snacks. Like it was just like I keep nuts and raisins and stuff. And I was about to grab a handful of nuts because it's on the counter. And I was like, am I even hungry? I'm not. So I'm just going to leave that right there. And right. And it's what I appreciated about how that felt is it just gives you another level of control around how you're eating, but it also helps you trust your body. Yeah, the messages
Mhm.
from your body and just be more in tune with yourself. And so that's when you were saying that, like, they can't even relate to future. I want this right now. Um, that thinking through to the next, like after you do this, what happens next?
Right.
I was in a program about peak performance, and one of the things that was very interesting to me, which you would think was would be normal concept, but it was foreign to me. But it's just like a lot of the times, the immediate decisions, the ones that make you feel good, you pay for later, versus the ones that are a little more challenging in the immediate. It tends to have a later payoff, and that comes with like diet and savings and any of that stuff. So that's something to consider too.
That's definitely something to consider. And it's all about being mindful, right? So I hear a lot that word being thrown around a lot, and I'm using it too because it's about being mindful in the moment. And I do the same thing. I'll be like, ooh, nuts, yeah. And I'm like, well, why are you reaching that? Just because it's there.
Yeah.
It's there. And it'll taste nice in my mouth. But at the same time, people argue, I have to enjoy things, I have to enjoy life. And nutrition can be joyful. I was talking to somebody earlier today and I said, I love like preparing my meals and like just seeing the different types of ingredients. Now when I look at foods, I'm thinking about, well, what nutritional value is that? And what nutritional value does that have? And as I put everything together and I know that my meals will taste good, and it's like twofold. First of all, healthy food doesn't have to taste like cardboard. I heard somebody refer to that once. I'm like, why would it taste like cardboard? As long as you use your spices and the different mix of foods, it could be so amazing. And we tend to rely, I think I completely forgot my train of thought, but we tend to rely on condiments.
Mm-hmm.
And all it does is really hide the flavor of the food.
Mm-hmm.
When I started clean eating, and I noticed something that happened. Either my palate changed. Well, that does happen, right? Your palate changes to adjust and accommodate because our sense of taste is so overstimulated with all the sodium and sugars that they put in foods. So my palate changed, and then I started really tasting food. Really tasting food without all the condiments. And sure, I help it along with the garlic and the onion and things like that. But for the first time, it wasn't covered in some sauce that was full of sugar and sodium, because they put sugar and sodium in everything. Check your ketchup bottle, check your dressings.
Natural flavors.
All these flavors. So
yeah. You know what? When you were saying that, I thought about I read a lot. I don't know if it was in Defense of Food or another book, but the author like talks to these major manufacturers. And one of the reasons they put a lot of sodium in something is because if they don't, it will taste like that wet dog smell taste. So I know, I was like, so if you just smell a wet dog before you go to eat something that has a lot of sodium, then maybe you won't eat it.
Maybe you won't eat it.
But it's right. You're in that. So the folks who are saying that healthy food tastes like cardboard is because their taste buds, and also the manufacturers, they really do study what will give you just enough, like, yes, like the crunch, the feel, the mouth feel, all of that. Is literally a science. And so the beauty of vegetables not being so pop in like taste is because it prevents you from overeating. Whereas the other foods, they are so exciting in your mouth, you're like, I want more, I want more. And that is literally, they want you to buy more. They want you to eat more. So that's why they do that. So if you know what their tactics are, you can.
Oh, completely. They've got marketing down.
Yeah.
It's just incredible. As you pull your mug I have tea in the other room because I said, this is Tips Over Tea.
Yeah.
And I said, And I'm so mad. It's in the other room. My tea's in the other room. I was gonna.
No, get it.
It's all good. It's all good. But yeah, they're geniuses. They're geniuses. And that's why they've done such an amazing job at fooling the world that we need so much flavor. We need all these things, products, condiments, all these flavors and tastes that we don't need. Now the body's just used to it, and so wants it and craves it. Because we're really addicted to the stuff, and this is why fitness can be achieved in 30 days or less. I mean, no, that's a lifelong commitment. You know, like
Exactly.
we don't brush our teeth for 30 days and then think that we will never experience bad breath again. Then we're good for life. No, it doesn't happen like that. We don't shower for 30 days in a row and know we good for the whole summer. No, it doesn't. No.
Please don't do that. You know, I wanted to ask, because you mentioned this right before the call, and I just want the viewers to know, like, what is it about women over 40 that draws you to serve them?
Well, okay, so I'm over 40, and I, as a woman over 40 who loves to exercise, I was holding classes and I was like, everybody, let's go. And they were high impact cardio. And half of everybody that I was working with, Carmel, I can't keep up with you. So I really had to learn quickly. I have to come down and meet people where they are. And so when I came and met people where they are, and I said, well, let's do that. Yeah, they would show up for 1, 2, 3 classes, and then they would disappear. And then next week they would be like, yeah, I'll come. And then they would come for a day, and it wasn't a regular thing at all. That's when I realized that it's not showing up that they had a problem with. It was them staying motivated and inspired. It was them lacking the ability to connect to their 80-year-old self. It was the lack of having an exercise routine, making it a part of their normal life. Because we all know if something comes up and during our busy days and our busy schedules, the first thing to get bumped off the list, besides sleep, and that's another thing, is exercise. You know, we're so quick to get rid of the sleep. We're so quick to get rid of the exercise. Nothing else will get compromised, you know, because if Susie has to be picked up from school, that's going to happen. And I'm going to feed my family. That's going to happen. And movie night and Netflix is going to happen. But exercise, no time for exercise. You know, something came up. And so it's that motivation and inspiration that they lack. It's not there. It's, how do we say, well, why did I start? Why is it that I feel like I want to get fit? And is it about that dress? And guess what? It can be about that dress, but don't let it only be about that dress. Like, what is it about the dress? How does it make you feel? So you actually, it's emotional, right? Because you actually want to feel a certain way when you're in that dress. You want to feel sexy. You want to feel, you know, desired or beautiful. And so it's not just about the dress. It's how I want to feel about myself. So that dress goes back in the closet. I've worn it. And so now, do we go back to our old lifestyle? And for most people, yes. For most people, they just want to look good in a bikini when they go on vacation over the summer. And I'm all for it. I say, if your reason is vanity, listen, I'm not going to judge. Let's just get to where you need to be safely, nutritious, and without hurting yourself, right? So that is that inspiration that's lacking, because we live in a world where we're told, take this pill and in 30 days you see the results, you know, and then you see a woman in a bikini, it's like, I look like this before this product and now I look like, and that's not the way it works. And so now if I'm sitting here telling you that's not the way it works, there's somebody else watching right now, Nicole, that's saying, well, I don't want to do the work. Why can't it be a quick fix? I don't want to do that work. And it's about finding that sweet spot. Finding what that exercise activity that you do enjoy doing. And I said it before, it could be something as easy as dancing with your partner at the end of the night before you go to bed, or something. Like, it could be that simple as long as you find movement. Now, women over 40, we will take it up a notch, right? Because it's important that we work with weights, and I could go into a whole different spiel about that. But yeah, so women over 40, inspiration, it's a thing. They've spent the greater part of their years not being. Or we even talked about, when I was 20, I didn't need to exercise. All I did was give up X food for a week, and I was back to my normal self. Well, when you were 20, you are a completely different person.
Completely. Yeah.
And at this age, it's really time for us to embrace who we are, accept who we are, and embrace the life changes that are happening as we just get on and on and on in age, and accept certain things, and go with the flow, and do what we have to do in order to help our longevity, because there are worse things than death. Right? So we all know that that life and science has made it for us to live longer. But those extra years, are they healthy years? Where are we going to spend our last 20 years of our lives? Is it going to be in a nursing home? Is it going to be playing with your grandkids? Walking your dog? Trying to schmooze it up with your community pal, for the single ones.
All for it.
Right? So we have to think about those things, even though there is a disconnect between us right now and our future selves.
Yeah. I would say, what is going well right now that is a result of something you did in your past, and it's the same thing as you doing for your future self, right? Like for me, I will say, because I'm retired from the Army, and I feel like the fact that I invested that time has been very helpful to what I'm doing right now with my life. So same thing, like with my health right now, what my puppy.
She's not loud.
Okay. What I do physically and nutritionally, it really is going to impact, and I'm going to appreciate myself years from now for taking the time to make being healthy and being happy and not being in pain and not being sad or not being whatever, making that normal, because aches, pains, and disease is not normal. The natural state is good health.
You know what? Everything that you said was phenomenal and absolutely 100% true, right? Aches and pains are not normal, yet we've normalized it. I was on the phone with somebody the other day, and he was just like, "Oh my God, I have a headache. I'm just going to pop a couple of Tylenols." Meanwhile, with all this new information about our gut health, that's just probably the worst thing that you can do. Maybe you just relax. Your body's trying to talk to you. Your body's trying to tell you something that maybe you just need to take it a step back, lie down for a minute, and treat your body with some TLC. So something that I've been coming up with, that I've been doing in my past and even my present, that I know will be able to be extremely valuable in my future, is my health and fitness. Again, unfortunately, it took a car accident for me to put all these pieces together. And even when I put all these pieces together, they were kind of like mashed up, right? And as I'm getting older and learning more and taking these baby steps towards my future self, I'm realizing that it's really kind of like I broke myself up during the car accident. I broke bones, and it took some healing. So it's kind of like the same way I'm putting these pieces together. So as the years go by, I feel like the pieces are really being really smoothed into each other, as I feel mind, body, soul, spirit, all of this holistic, this wellness, because I feel like it's more than just the exercises that we do and the food that's on our plate. It has to do with what's going on in here. It has to do with what's going on in here. It has to do with the things that are coming out of our mouths based on our thoughts, right? So I really feel like I've laid down a really nice foundation, and I'm still building upon it. I'm still learning so much more. There's still so much more to learn. And as I learn, I invite people to come learn with me. I embrace people like yourself, Nicole, who says, "Hey, listen, I want to talk to you about this." And I love speaking about it because I'm in complete awe and wonder of the perfect machines that our bodies are and the perfect nutrition that God blessed this earth with, to take all of that in and just live our best lives pain free and with full of vitality. And I feel like it's our right. It's our birthright. It's our God-given birthright to feel good, to
Yeah.
be able to listen to our bodies and know when something is misaligned,
Yeah.
so that we can aid our bodies in realignment.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. That was a very good like wind down to how fast the 30 minutes go.
You did warn me that it was going to go by fast, and it did go by
Mhm.
fast. It's so easy to talk to.
Thank you. So, of course, I want to give you the opportunity to share how can people connect with you? Do you have a community, club, whatever? Of course, it will all be in the description, but it just feels good to hear it from
Yes,
you.
oh, thank you for that. So yeah, so I do have a free community on Facebook. It's a private Facebook group called Fit to Motivate, because I believe no matter where anybody is in their journey, they're all fit to motivate somebody else. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's my private Facebook community. I host every few weeks. I host, so I run a wellness collective, and that's a support group where a few women. I never normally work with more than 5 women at a time, and because I want to give everybody their individual attention when it comes to their wellness and their health and fitness goals. And that's where we get together and we talk about what our goals are. We talk about what our challenges are. We talk about recipes. We talk about different types of exercises, and we dig down deep. A lot of times we talk about meditation. We talk about affirmations, what's going on inside here, what's going on inside here, as well as what's going on without. And again, if vanity is a part of it, I'm all for it, but let's dig down deep and let's find some real things that are happening. And even we sometimes even tap a little bit into the past to see where all of this came from.
Yeah.
My website is cfitcoaching.com. It's the letter C, fitcoaching.com. I'm an author. I'm a new author, so my book is available on there. All my information is available through my website, and I'm heavy on Instagram, but I can be found on Facebook and LinkedIn as well. So you don't have to do much clicking to find all of those social media.
That I love that. I love all of that. Definitely, especially that wellness collective piece, because I love the concept of the small group.
Yeah.
So you tend to get closer to the people and you get really supported by the people. And then once it's over, you still have that connection with
I still have that connection with them. And it's interesting because each of these collectives are about 4 to 6 weeks long.
Mhm.
And like after I'm done with one, and they're never each exactly the same. Like I'll incorporate more stuff. Like one time it was more fitness, and then the next time I did it was more nutrition, and then I included the mental aspect of it. And sometimes I'll say, "Hey, so and so, you want to join the next group?" No, I think I'm good. And sometimes I feel a kind of way. I'm like, but what really gets me, Nicole, is when I get the follow up text. Hey, Carmel, just wanted to reach out and let you know that I'm still eating really well. And that is everything to me, because I know that I laid down some type of foundational work for these women. Well, of course, open, because if you're not open to it, you won't receive it, right? But if you're not open, you really wouldn't join my group. But lay down some type of foundational information for them to start building upon and try to figure things out on their own, because everybody learns differently in their own way. So
Yeah, I like that too. And then we're going to wrap it up. But I like that too, because sometimes without that initial guidance, it can be overwhelming. You're like, where do I start? What do I believe? Blah, blah, blah. And so I love the fact that you like help plant their seeds, and then they can just keep watering it and figuring things out for them.
Yes, yes,
Awesome.
yes.
Thank you so much, Carmel. This has been a wonderful conversation, as I suspected would be. So thank you, everyone. I really appreciate that you stuck in and hung out with us for today. Those of you catching us live and those of you catching us on a replay, thank you also. Please do like, subscribe, share. If you know anyone who could really benefit from this information, which is a lot of people, please do share that with them. And in the meantime, we will see you next week. So ciao. Thanks again for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, and click the bell so you'll be notified anytime we upload a new video or go live. And as always, if you have any questions or anything, feel free to post it in the comments. We're always checking that. In the meantime, have a great